Hi, good evening, and welcome to our Language Immersion Town Hall. It's so great to see you all. We're going to be talking to you about immersion education tonight, and it's something that we all love. My name is Sue Lynn Hasbrook. I'm the Immersion World Language Coordinator. I've been with our district for approximately 12 years, and I've seen immersion grow from being a very small program to programming that's kindergarten through 12th grade. I'm going to have Ryan share our PowerPoint, and then you'll get to meet the other participants as we go along. So Ryan, would you please share the PowerPoint with us? Awesome. Thanks so much. So as you can see, tonight we're talking about language immersion, and that first introductory page has two really cute pictures of our kindergartners in both immersion programs, and they do just as well in immersion as they do in a regular English program, and we are so proud of them. I'm gonna have you go to the next page, please. So I think it's important for us to know what District 742's mission is. I'm going to read it quickly. Our mission is to create a safe and caring climate and culture in which we prepare, engage, educate, empower, and inspire all learners in partnership with their surrounding community to be successful in today's and tomorrow's society. Immersion education creates an environment that prepares learners to meet our district's mission. Next page, Ryan. So this slide, I just think it's amazing to think that our students will be learning in these two languages. This is our mission in Chinese and our mission in Spanish. And when our kids are in our immersion programs, they are able to read those, the characters and the words in Spanish. Next. I think it's important to think, what is language immersion? One thing that is a real misconception is that language immersion is for only native speakers of that language, and it's actually the exact opposite. Language immersion was originally intended for non-native speakers of that language, and of course, we love to have native speakers in our programs as well. So language immersion is teaching the same Minnesota state standards in another language besides English. Instruction is solely delivered in Chinese or Spanish in grades kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, and it's free and available to anyone who speaks any language. Next. And how it works is that students are immersed in a second language while learning math, science, social studies, reading, writing, health, etc. That language and content teaching are integrated in developmentally appropriate ways, and the instruction in the immersion language is for a minimum of 50% of the day. So our program is considered an 80-20 program because our kids are taught in Chinese or Spanish all day except for music, art, and Phi-Ed. And their schedule is similar to their English peers. The difference is just that the teachers will teach the content in Chinese or Spanish. So again, the schedule may be exact as their English peers as far as having 2 hours of language arts, an hour and a half of math, etc. That does not change for a student in immersion. And they get the same specialists as well. Next. This is just a quick slide to let you know that immersion education is not new, and Minnesota is one of the leaders in immersion education. We are actually number 2 in the entire nation, and immersion has grown. It started in 1971, and it's grown ever since. Next slide. We actually have approximately 73 programs currently at the preschool, elementary, and secondary levels. That's an estimated 13,000 students and 600 educators. It shows that in Minnesota, immersion is thriving. and we're proud to be one of those programs. So what are the immersion benefits for students? There are many. The obvious one is for students to develop Chinese or Spanish language skills. For some parents, that's actually not the most important thing. There's other pieces like developing greater listening skills, developing higher level thinking skills. Research shows that students obtain increased awareness and appreciation of other cultures, and they achieve as well or better than non-immersion peers on standardized tests in verbal and mathematical skills. So our students do as well or better in immersion as what they would in English. Again, this is the cool thing of the enhancement of brain development. Immersion enhances academic and linguistic performance in immersion language and English. It physically enhances that cognitive brain development, and it's like your brain is wired differently when you're introduced to a second language at a young age. It increases career and social opportunities because our kids will speak more than one language, and it expands worldview and global competencies. Our students are used to being around other people who speak other languages, and that is their norm. Okay. So I'm going to show you a little video. This is a Chinese immersion kindergarten class. And then after the video, I'm going to have our Chinese immersion kindergarten teacher introduce herself and tell you some things about a Chinese immersion kindergarten. Ryan, would you mind? Thank you.
以后再也不挠你了，张无数。他说什么？他说什么？我不挠你了是什么意思？哎，我再也不要 tickle 你了，我不要，哎，我不要。因为他 realize 他以前呢，他就说我只会 tickle， 我会挠痒痒，对不对？
Summer, none of us have any idea what you said.
Hello, everybody. I'm Yang Lao Shi, or you can call me Summer. I'm the kindergarten teacher. I've been teaching at Madison for 6 years. This is my third year teaching kindergarten. So when you are wondering like what immersion looks like, that's exactly what it looks like in the video. So in the beginning, like a couple of days, it can be hard because kids. Everything is new, entering into the kindergarten. I think it's a kind of milestone for a lot of kids. So they do get tired, they do get sad. First day they might cry, but after a couple of days, they adjust very well. So in the beginning, one of the big concerns a lot of parents ask me like, oh my gosh, like what if I don't understand any Chinese? I cannot help my kids. The thing is, you don't have to understand any Chinese at all. In the beginning, I do speak some English to help them to understand the rules. How does it work? The classroom rules. But after that, we use a lot of dancing, music, a lot of body language, pictures to show them. So their brain pick up all those things very, very fast. So they make the connections really quick. So after usually 2 or 3 months, they're able to write in Chinese, have some basic conversations with you. Do they talk with each other using a lot of Chinese? They do speak English when they talk to their friends, but most of the time, they eventually they just slowly they start to speak Chinese with each other as well. So if you're wondering, you're worried, you don't need to worry anything about if they can catch up or anything. Another thing very unique about Chinese is that Chinese is not an alphabet-based language. Chinese is stroke-based. So let's see if your child doesn't know any letters, no problem, totally fine with us. And China also has like thousands of years of culture. So I think another really cool thing, it doesn't matter Spanish immersion or Chinese immersion, you're not only immersed in a different language, but also a different culture. So if you see the decoration in class, you see those lanterns, a lot of things, those Chinese not. So they're not only interacting with the language, but also a complete different culture. So I think it's a great opportunity for kids to come to immerse themselves in a complete different culture and learn new things. And the most important is also very, very good for their brain development. So, yep.
Thanks, Summer. I still only know 5 phrases. The kindergartners beat me after about 1 week. They're already beyond me. How about the next slide, Ryan? This is going to be a slide showing the Spanish immersion kindergarten, and then afterwards our Spanish immersion kindergarten teacher will talk to us a little bit about what that looks like.
Enero, febrero, marzo, abril, mayo, junio, julio, agosto, septiembre, octubre, noviembre, diciembre, meses del año. So hello, I'm Professor Marita. So my name's Marita Schmitz, and I work at Clearview. This video just makes me smile. It's fun to think that we just came back to school all together this week, and the kids are just so happy to be together and be learning at school again. So this is a video of us doing calendar math in kindergarten. So we are singing the months of the year in Spanish. So you might be wondering what a day in kindergarten looks like in an immersion program, and the answer is it's really similar to what it would be like in English. So when the students come in the morning, they have an opportunity to connect with their peers. We offer all of the subject courses that we would in English, except for we're doing that in Spanish. And we get to know all of the students, and we help identify their strengths and the things that they are going to be working on this year as well. And so we teach them in differentiated groups to help them to reach the goals and the skills to help them meet their language goals and their academic goals throughout the year. And so when you think of a kindergarten school year, it's just a magical year of learning. It's where kids have the ability to connect with so many people. They learn to fall in love with school. They learn the rules about how to belong to community and how kind of the learning process looks like when you're with a big group of people. And when you think of those experiences, it's the exact same in immersion. It's just we're doing the language component on top of that. And so our district has placed an emphasis on play as well in our curriculum. And so we have designated time throughout the day for the students to explore the world around them through play. They have the opportunity to act things out and have materials to help them explore their understanding of the world around them. And it's just so fun to watch them explore ideas and concepts through exploring Spanish as well. And so it's just really fun to watch them grow throughout the year, not only in their social emotional skills, but they're doing it all in Spanish, and it's just really amazing to watch them.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm just going to pose a couple questions that we got from our parents. What about a child starting at age 5 or age 6 in kindergarten? Do you have any, being, Summer and Marita, you both are teaching kindergarten. I know I waited for my own son to start at age 6 because of maturity. He has that August birthday. But I can see benefits of both, and I'm wondering what your perspective is.
So I've had kids, majority of the kids, I think they're around 5. There were I think I had one kid, he's not even there yet. So I think you have to do some kind of assessment. And I did a survey to make sure kids are being able to catch up and do things. And as a teacher, if your feedback is okay, kids can still enroll into the program even if the age is a little bit younger. So I don't think the age makes a huge difference. I do not see that. I think they're all, I see them all the same. But I mean, when it comes to the social skills, if you have the younger, a little bit earlier, let's say you're February February birthday and December birthday, I can see some difference. But most of the things, I don't think that really make a huge difference. That's my perception. I don't know about what Marita thinks, but that's how I felt.
I think that is just such a good question, and it's something to explore more through knowing where your child is at. And so some of the indicators that help me to have a good sense of kind of what to point people in the direction of is whether they can sit and attend to a task for 10 minutes. And so whether that's just looking at books or exploring toys, some of those being able to attend to things for a certain amount of time can be helpful just to know whether they're ready for sitting and learning in a whole group and doing activities together. That can be really helpful to explore that a little more. And so a lot of times I know parents think about birthdays, whether they're a summer birthday is when I typically see people posing that question of whether they want to wait another year. And so that's another thing to take in consideration. I know another helpful thing is whether you've done kindergarten screening with the school district. That can give you another good indicator. They have staff that'll work with you and your family and your child to take a look at the skills that they've learned and kind of give you a good sense of where they're at going into kindergarten. So that can be helpful as well.
Thank you.
I just have sorry, so I just have a little bit to add on. I think another indicator can be also if the kids has been to like the preschool. Majority of the kids they in my class, like they've had some sort of kind of school experience, either preschool or daycare. So they kind of know certain routines. That's also what makes the transition a little bit easier too. So parents can take that into consideration. If they've been to preschool 2 years in a row, usually they also adjust the kindergarten pretty well as well.
Thanks for that feedback. One other just quick question, and Ryan, if you could let Suzanne in on the meeting, that would be great. I have a parent who's wondering about students who are learning a third language. I know that it's very possible and that we don't expect parents to know the immersion language, so it's okay if you speak other languages at home. The more solid you are in a language at home, the better your immersion experience is. But typically when kids know more than one language, they very easily can compartmentalize the languages, and they know when they're speaking Japanese versus Chinese versus Arabic or Somali. Kids have brilliant brains. Marita or Summer, do you have anything to add with that?
When I think about the student's capacity to learn language, something that I always think of is that a child's language ability peaks at 3 years old and then is pretty high and then goes down as time goes on. So I think like just thinking about as an adult learning 3 languages at once seems really crazy, and a child's mind is in a place where it's just ready to absorb so much language and develop connections. And so I think they're at the perfect age for just taking that in, and their mind can explore and understand that in a way that the adult mind just isn't quite there in the same way. And so I always think it's magical. I go back to an experience that I had with I had a student that had a para-educator who spent a whole year in our classroom, and at the end of the year she was like, these kids know way more Spanish than I do. They just picked up on it real quick. So I think that just immersion is at the perfect age for teaching kids language, and they're just ready to take it in.
Last year I had one student who already speaks 2 languages, so English, Spanish. So because parents are both speak Spanish. And then he came to the immersion learning Chinese. I was like, oh my gosh, how this gonna work? I didn't know. But I think also depends on the language. let's say if they are all like alphabet based, sometimes when you start to learn the third language, when it comes to the language acquisition, you do get confused, or certain parts they do get like mixed. I think that's what I heard my friends, they speak more than 2 languages. But I think because the Chinese is totally different, so I don't see anything difference. I know the student already speaks English, Spanish, but he just learning Chinese as another language. I don't see that anything make it harder or easier, just like you're learning a second language. So it's a very interesting experience for me to see, because it was like, will this work? You know, it's just just like any other kids. So I don't see many difference too. So I think if you're able to speak more than 2 languages, you'll be so beneficial in the future when you're growing up. So I think that's a huge benefit if kids can learn more languages.
Thank you so much. I'm going to have you go on to the next slide. I'm sorry if it looks like I'm not present. I'm trying to get a parent in, because parents know what it's like to have a child in immersion. So we've talked a little bit about the benefits for students. Here are some benefits for the schools and the community. So it provides you with a choice. It affirms multiculturalism and diversity in education. Again, based on research, it increases student achievement. It builds our community partnerships, because we work closely with St. Cloud State, MDE, St. John, St. Ben's, etc. And it increases student enrollment in public education. Next. I'll have you go to the next, Ryan. He's probably letting in the parent. In our district, we actually have 6 schools that have immersion in them. So again, 2 languages, 6 schools, 1 district. So let's start with Chinese immersion. Chinese immersion has kindergarten through 5th grade at Madison Elementary, and we call our program Guangming Academy. Unfortunately, we do not offer immersion in preschool. But moving on to North, our students take immersion language arts and immersion social studies. And then at Apollo, they continue with immersion language arts, and then they reach the levels of AP courses, and then they start taking college courses. For Spanish immersion, we have our Academia de Español Vista Clara, K through 5, elementary at Clearview Elementary. Again, no preschool. And then those students move on to South Junior High. And at South, students take Spanish and then also social studies in that target language. And then they continue on at Tech with Spanish courses, and they are taking the AP language and literature courses at that level. Okay, next slide. One thing I'd like to mention, I know we got a question about if there's before and after school care. This is actually new. Next year, we will have before school care at both immersion sites. It's through Kids Connection, which is a community ed. And after school, we already do have Kids Stop at both schools. So that's really cool. You can have your kids then be at both Madison and Clearview before school and after school. So how does it work? What does the model look like? I'm going to have you go to the next slide. Oh, also, next year there's an option for distance learning for secondary. There's a proposal for secondary, but we do not have, we are not going to be offering a DLA, a distance learning for elementary. Again, I'm talking post-COVID starting next year. So basically, our model is K through 2, our students have immersion, everything in the immersion language, math, science, social studies, language arts, etc. Music, art, and Viet are taught in English, and we do assess our students in both English and Chinese and Spanish. We want to really see how they're doing. And then the formal English instruction starts in 3rd grade. That picture is our Chinese immersion concert that we have hosted every year until COVID started, but we have hosted this at St. Cloud State. And then we also host a Spanish immersion concert, actually a couple of them at Clearview. We really want to embrace that cultural aspect of being in immersion. And one of those ways is by singing in the immersion language, and we invite all of our parents in the community. Next slide. So for grades 3 through 5, again, we're teaching our core content areas in the immersion language, and then we also add an additional chunk of time where we teach English reading and writing. Our students do take the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessments in reading and in math, and they are taken in English. They're not taken in Chinese or Spanish. That's why we want to make sure that our kids are transferring those skills from Spanish and Chinese. And by beginning that English block in 3rd grade, sometimes our scores in 3rd grade lag, but immersion research shows that all immersion students are typically caught up by the end of 4th grade. And then 5th grade, there's the science MCA in English. So for our secondary, again, 6 through 8, we have social studies and immersion language arts. A really exciting thing that we offer is what we call a capstone trip, which is kind of like the culmination of learning that immersion language from kindergarten through 8th grade. And our 8th and 9th grade immersion students have the opportunity to study, to go abroad for 10 to 14 days to a country where that language is spoken. We have had, last year was our first Spanish immersion trip. Our students went to Ecuador, and our Chinese immersion students have gone to China for 3 years. We're excited to have a capstone. This year we've had to cancel our capstone trips because of our pandemic, but our hope is that in 2022 we can continue with that. And then again, grades 9 through 12, the neat thing is our kids reach those AP courses, and PSEO is basically taking courses at the university. Our students reach those levels very early. Next slide. So what do we expect from parents? We expect for you to participate in something like this. We expect to have, for you to commit to that, to immersion throughout the elementary school year. And we ask that you read to your child and assist them with English language arts skills at home. Next. So after 1st grade, students don't transfer into the program unless we do an immersion assessment, because we're always looking for success. We want our students to be successful. And we encourage students to attend an immersion summer school camp. We typically offer those in August. We have offered them in June as well. But that is just a way to be thinking again in that immersion language in the summer, and then kind of gear up for coming back to school. Just going to share with you some of the data. Our students did not take MCAs last year, but I'm going to show you the last 2 years. The orange is our immersion students, and the yellow is Minnesota. And as you can see, in 3rd grade, our immersion students lagged a little bit in reading, and then in 4th grade, they jumped a little bit in reading, and by 5th, they were quite a bit ahead of the statewide percentage. Next slide. So in math, it looks a little different. Every year, actually, the immersion students have outperformed students in the state for all 3 grades, and the bars seem to kind of follow the same trajectory of in 5th grade, it drops a little bit, and it does as well for immersion. Let's look at the next slide. So just to show you that it's not an anomaly for showing you 1 year of data, here's another year where again, at 3rd grade, it's equal, and then 4th, our kids gain, and then by 5th, they're quite a bit farther ahead than students in Minnesota. And then the math, again, you see the same. We're in 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. The immersion students are outperforming the students at the state level, and then there's that dip in 5th grade, and we're always working on improving our teaching and wanting our students to grow. I think the next slide, okay, this one is just basically saying we need your help in English. We need you to read to your students, so, support their learning, ask them questions about what they're learning, read to them, practice phonics. We have a Having Fun with English packet that we give out at different In Chinese, it's in kindergarten, and then in Spanish immersion, it's closer to first grade. We want you to do those activities, and then again, we want you to read to your child in English. If we continue with a program that some teachers are using now called Lexia, that may be an option in the future for you to work on English at home. So the next slide is, I am excited to introduce you to our parents. While they're talking, I am going to work with Suzanne, who I'm trying to get into the meeting. So I just want you to know that. And I'm going to let Sarah, I'm going to let you start. If you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about your immersion experience from the parent perspective.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Mendoza and I have 2 children in the Chinese immersion program. I have Braulio, who is currently in 1st grade, and Charlie, who is in 3rd grade. And we have been so impressed by the Chinese immersion program. I have luckily been able to have Young Lao Shi as a teacher for 3 years. Charlie got her twice, and then Braulio got her for kindergarten, and she does an amazing job. The way we come to know about Chinese immersion is from these town hall meetings, or, you know, in previous years before COVID, they were the informational nights, and we came to one. We initially were thinking about doing Spanish immersion, but then found out that it was a little bit too far from our house. And we just realized that we wanted our kids to learn and immerse in a second language. And just by all of the data and the test scores, it was evident how great just learning a second language and immersing in a second language was to us. And we've been really impressed by how much our kids have learned and grown, and they haven't, occasionally they'll speak Chinese to each other now at home, but they haven't quite figured out that if they speak in Chinese, their mom and dad don't know what they're talking about. So we'll wait until that happens, but we've been really excited. And I just want to say too, I know we're in January right now. Today is January 20th, and it seems really early to think about kindergarten starting next fall, but it is something that just sort of sneaks up on you, and I hope that by watching these town hall meetings that it kind of solidifies your decision to do an immersion program, and I think the Chinese immersion program is a great one. We were a little, I'm actually Korean, so I don't know any Chinese at all. And my husband is Filipino, and so he doesn't know any Chinese at all either. And we were originally a little worried about not being able to speak the language or be able to help our kids. And Young Lao Shi, you know, calmed us down and said, it's definitely okay that you don't know any Chinese. And it's almost better that way. So we just work on the English language skills with them, and and then they learn Chinese all day long. So yeah, I think that's about it. They have a normal kindergarten experience. I think just transferring over to the kindergarten schedule is a big transition for any kindergartner. And with the addition of the language piece, they definitely come home very tired. Braulio can still take a nap today in 1st grade, but he definitely in kindergarten was ready to sleep when he got home. So I think it's a nice break too, that in the day when they're going to their art classes or music classes or phy-ed classes, that those are in English as well. So it gives them a little brain break during the day. But otherwise they're learning completely in Chinese, and they adjust really well. Kids are resilient. They are tired, but they get through it, and it's amazing how well they adjust. So I hope you sign up and register for Chinese immersion. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. I will see if any more questions come in. I'm going to jump to John. And then, just so you know, it says Suzanne's in the waiting room, Ryan. I don't know.
Hola, everybody. My name is John Bruns. We've got 3 kids in the Spanish immersion program, a kindergartner, a second grader, and a fourth grader. So we've been in the program for about 5 years and just really have enjoyed it. It's such a unique opportunity for the kids. Professor Marita highlighted on a lot of the fun things that they do. It's really a typical kindergarten experience. It's just that Spanish learning is an add-on for them. They're doing so much singing and dancing and learning all those different things that they typically learn in kindergarten. You find motor skills and things like that, but they're incorporating that language piece into it, which they do. They pick up on quickly, and it's fun to see how their brains kind of work as they're processing through those different languages and those sorts of things. So we've just really enjoyed being a part of that community. One thing that's unique about the Spanish immersion program that we've been able to be a part of as well as they have Amity teaching interns, which are teaching interns that come over from native speaking countries, typically either from South or Central America or Spain. And they serve kind of as teaching interns in the classrooms. And they live with host families while they're here. And we were able to host a gentleman a few years ago from Colombia. And so it's just another opportunity to really kind of get involved. As Sue said, kind of expand that multiculturalism, just those different opportunities that you are able to connect with that aspect of it, along with learning the language, learning some of those cultural pieces, and just being really a part of that community. So we've really enjoyed it, and it's something that we would highly recommend.
Thanks, John. Becky.
Hi, my name is Becky, and I have 2 daughters that are in the Spanish immersion program. I have a 3rd grader and a 6th grader. So we, have kind of gone the whole way through with Clearview, and now this year, my oldest daughter is in 6th grade, so she's in the program at South and loving it. I mean, this is obviously a weird year, so we're actually doing distance learning this year. But still, she's with all of her former classmates, that she would be with on in a normal school year. So she's still in the same classes and just loves everything about it. I've been very impressed with the whole program, especially, obviously I know a lot more about Clearview, but I'm learning about South too, and I'm still just impressed with everything. I can't even remember how we first heard about immersion. I know that I personally, in my own career, kind of ran into some roadblocks when I didn't have a second language. And I know that had I had those skills myself, I know that it probably would have taken my career in different directions. And so I was determined real early on that my kids would have that opportunity. And, on top of that, just the community at Clearview has been fabulous. Like John, our family has also hosted a couple of Amities, and that has been a super fun experience too. The kids just love having one of those, the Amities live with us. It's a blast. So yeah, I guess I don't even know quite what to add, but it's just been a fantastic experience, and I have no regrets.
Thanks. One thing before Suzanne talks, and thank you for your patience, Suzanne. I was just going to mention that Chinese immersion also has had interns who live with families. They've come to us through the Confucius Institute. So when we talk Amity, that's Spanish immersion, but Chinese immersion also has these lovely young educators who get to work with your students, and families have been able to host. So just wanted to let you know that. Suzanne, thanks for joining us. What would you like to share about your Chinese immersion experience?
So hopefully I'm not being redundant here, but some of my favorite things are the quality of our teachers. Our Chinese immersion teachers are some of the hardest working people I have ever met my entire life. They are so dedicated to their students, and especially, since March and the distance learning, my kids' teachers just took to it. How to move from the classroom to online learning. My kids this year are in DLA. So they are distance learning full time, and really they've had a ton of support from their teachers and other staff at Madison. So I really think that, I think they're just amazing people, and they're very dedicated, and some of them have been around, quite a while. So, which I'm thankful for, because having multiple kids, it's nice to have the same teachers that you love over and over again. And the other part that I really enjoy is the community that, that our students build together, because they spend so much time together in the classroom. They really become, very tight. And sometimes I kind of joke they become like siblings, because sometimes their interactions look very much like siblings. But then, our families, form this big community too. I mean, I just actually 30 minutes ago, I got home from taking about 15 of our kids sledding. We combined some DLA kids with some of our, kids that are in hybrid and in-person learning, and took them out to a sledding hill so they could sled for about 3 hours this afternoon, because they missed each other a lot in having that interaction time. So, that's really, it's really fun for us to do. I love watching them grow, and I love watching them form their friendships. And, even after 5.5 years, when my kids talk to their friends or to their siblings in Chinese, I have to stop and listen. I have no idea what they're saying. But I stop and listen every time, because it is awe-inspiring to hear them converse in this language that so well. So those are some of my favorite parts of immersion.
That's awesome, Suzanne. One of the parents had asked about students who may struggle. And I wrote, just like in an English classroom, it's our job to provide interventions or to meet the students where they're at to help them grow, and then to watch the data to make sure that we are meeting their needs. And immersion research shows that students do as well as they would in an English program, or better. They don't do worse. So if a child is an overachiever in English, they're going to be an overachiever in Spanish or Chinese immersion. If it's a student who struggles, they will struggle in immersion as well. It doesn't take the struggle away, but that doesn't mean that students shouldn't be in immersion. Immersion should have all of the students as well, and they're getting the benefit of learning a second language. And the other thing is, students learn quickly because of that repetition, visuals, songs, etc. That's part of the immersion way, and it's different for our young kids versus those of us who are adults. We would not learn the way our kids are able to absorb that language. So starting young is really a pretty crucial piece. Next slide. So here's the biggie: how to enroll. Our kindergarten enrollment for all of District 742 begins on January 25th. At Madison, you can actually drive up between 5 and 6:30 p.m. on February 1st, and we will be literally handing out physical paper packets. At Clearview, that will be February 2nd. If you do not want to do that drive-through, you don't have to. You can enroll online, and on our website, ISD 742, you'll see this pop up, that image, enroll online or pick up your packet. And you can also get anything at the Welcome Center. So there are many ways you can register, and open enrollment has been available to immersion students in the past. You just have to fill out an open enrollment paperwork. And busing has also been free for our students within our district. For students who are outside of our district, like for example, the Becker area, there has been busing in the past, but that's been fee-based. And so you would have to call transportation to see what that might look like. That's something, if families are out of district, that we can't guarantee, but that would be a transportation question. And next slide, Ryan. I don't know if you've heard it, but we do love our immersion programs. Whether it's parents, students, teachers, we absolutely adore them, and we want every family to be joining us, because we think our programs are second to none. And the last slide is just if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I have a long email, susan.lin-hasbrook@isd742.org. You may call Clearview. You can call Madison. You can call the Welcome Center. If you have a question and I need to reach out to a parent, I will connect you. If I need to reach out to a principal, I will do that. We will get you any information you're looking for. And if you'd even want to talk to a parent or a teacher, I will get you connected. Carissa, I'm wondering if there were any other questions that came in on the town hall chat.
Yes, there was only one other question. You did a great job answering all the questions that have been just rolling in through this entire time. So the only other question is coming from a family who already speaks a second language, and they're wondering what ease there is in learning a third language if they were to enroll their child in an immersion program.
I think we kind of touched upon that there's, I think, Summer, you had said that you've had students who are multilingual. Again, I think what Sarah has said, they speak multiple languages in their homes and it's not the immersion language. There are many benefits for your child to take that third language. It's just they will do well in a third language. And the teachers send out support to you and your child. They send out websites. They make sure you're connected so that you can hear Chinese and Spanish when your children are at home to support that second language learning or a third language or fourth language. Anybody else like to add anything?
I just have a little bit because my son who is 2 years old. So in the beginning, because my parents helped me take care of him, so he was all exposed to Chinese only. He doesn't know, he knows very little words. He can't communicate with his dad. Then my parents went back to China. Right now he talks with his dad in English. I think one thing I noticed with kids are being bilingual in a very young age, they really don't know they're learning two languages at all. So for him, he switched, certain words he knows in Chinese, some he knows in English, and then he switched. And then for him, he doesn't know he's learning a new language. He knows this is a tool to communicate. I think for kindergarten kids, a lot of them are the same. Like I had a student who was in the Chinese program, and he's learning his third language. But I think for him, it's the same thing. I don't think he's adding something more, or like adults, oh my gosh, I have to remember so many things. What if I forget? For them, just very naturally, I think they pick up the language. So probably not a huge difference like, oh, this is my third one or the fourth one. I think that's how they felt. That's how I observed. So that's a little thing I want to add on.
That's awesome, Summer.
I also wanted to add that as you look forward to your child's educational experiences, whether it's at Madison or Clearview, that all of us teachers are just really excited to get to know your child. And throughout the year, we're going to, notice like the things that they need to work on and their strengths, and that we view you as a member of our team, that we can communicate about your child's progress throughout the year. I know I send lots of messages between myself and parents, just, we share ideas, we talk about how your child is doing. And so whether you feel like your child is struggling, or whether you're balancing the language needs of your child or any other situation you find yourself in, just know that the teacher that your child is placed with is dedicated to helping him or her grow throughout the year, and that we view you as an important part of that equation as well in helping us to help your child get optimal growth throughout the school year.
Thanks, Marita. Parents, is there anything you would like to say in closing?
I would say if you have other questions, just feel free to ask. I think as you obviously can see tonight, whether it be the teachers or the parents, we're happy to answer any questions that you might have and tell you a little bit more about the experience. So please don't hesitate. Even if it's logistical questions about busing or other things like that, that sometimes it's maybe a little easier to get from a parent, or how those things work. Please feel free to ask.
Sarah?
I would, yeah, I think John said it all. I think in talking to the parents, it again just kind of solidified our decision to go with Chinese immersion, and we have never looked back. So please, yeah, reach out. I'm on Facebook, and Facebook's a great place to find the Guangming Academy is on there as well. So just reach out.
Thanks. Becky?
Yeah, the same. Actually, Clearview also has a Facebook group that you are welcome to join, and you can ask any questions that you want there. There's 150 people in that group, so feel free to ask anything you want.
Great. Suzanne?
Kind of the same. Like, we look forward to welcoming you to our community next year. So we hope you join us and really just ask. And it can be like very, very simple questions of like, how do you manage homework, to, I'm working on reading and I need some English resources. We have those too. So we have insights on that. So yeah, just ask.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us tonight for our Immersion Education Town Hall. And we look forward to welcoming you next school year and greeting your new Immersion kindergartner. Thank you. Have a good evening.